Welcome in to Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside John Epps and Jerel Hendricks. We are back again with our 1A and 2A high school league coaching carousel show, along with some SCISA sprinkled in as well. Fellas, how you doing tonight?
Pretty good.
Yeah, I'm doing good. I can hear you this time, so we're good.
That's good to have. That's good to have happening. So I hope you guys enjoyed our 3A, 4A, and 5A show. This show probably be a little bit quicker. And we knocked out a majority of those the other night with that 3A, 4A, 5A show. But once again, a huge number of changes to kind of go through. But if you guys have not checked us out before, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains. Our website, movinchains.com. That's movinchains.com. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. So like we said, guys, a ton of turnover across the state in all classifications this year. John, why don't we start rolling here with some 2A changes and kind of go through that coaching carousel first?
Yeah, so we've got a new school, a new charter school that is opening this year, American Leadership Academy. And the first coach they will have will be the legendary Robin Bacon coming over from Spring Valley. They will only be playing JV this year, I understand, but pretty cool to see Coach Bacon staying in football, starting out the program in American Leadership.
Yeah, that's exciting to see Coach Bacon, get an opportunity to start something new here. Just a coaching legend, especially in the Midlands region. I'm sure Spring Valley, that tenure didn't end the way he wanted it to, but I think that's a great opportunity for him. Brings a wealth of knowledge, and that's just an outstanding hire. Everybody loves the charter schools in 2A too, right?
Yeah, so I will say I think this one is actually in Lexington. I think they've got one in Greenville coming next year. So I think they've got a couple different ones popping off here. But Coach Bacon, head coach at Spring Valley for 8 years, also been AC Floor, Lower Richland, and Richland Northeast. I mean, a great hire for a new school. A guy who knows the Midlands area, has been around a long time, has got a lot of great connections there. I can't think of many better guys to start and build a program with than Coach Bacon. That's going to be a great fit there, I think, for American Leadership Academy. Yeah, I think you're right, Johnny. They're just playing JV this year. Then I guess next year with the realignment, they'll probably get placed into a region, be ready to go for playoffs and kind of at that varsity level then. But great hire there for American Leadership with Robin Bacon. Interesting to see how that goes and kind of how that's going to work when they start adding some more schools across the state under that same brand as well.
Now moving on to a big time one. We got Andrew Jackson, had such a good season last year. Todd Shigley moving on from the program. He's going to be replaced by Jeremy Smith, who was last the offensive coordinator at Boiling Springs. So he'll step down to be head coach, but step down from a couple classes, take head coach at Andrew Jackson.
This is the one that was surprised because, really it kind of happened late in the cycle. Coach Shigley, nobody had thought that he was going anywhere. And until, maybe a month or so ago, this kind of popped off out of nowhere. So big surprise there. Coach Smith has done a great job, with that Boiling Springs program and other places that he's been over the years. Really a surprising one here because Andrew Jackson team has a lot of talent coming back. The running back, the Thompson kid, is back for, I think, his senior season. So he'll be one to watch, no doubt about it. But it should be a fun program to follow there. A a team that had a really good season last year, I think made it all the way to the lower state final before falling to Oceanside, if I remember correctly. So definitely some good things to build off of there for Coach Smith.
No. Go ahead, John.
Sorry, go ahead, Jerel.
No, I was just saying, that's like you said, Kevin, that's surprising that job came open, but that's a great opportunity for Coach Smith there, being at Boiling Springs, I guess, under Coach Reel, getting that experience there and going to AJ, like you said, Trey Thompson, I mean, he's electrifying. He's one of the best running backs in the state. I think he is a senior this year, so he'll definitely be on our watch list for Mr. Football. And like you said, they had a great season, especially in the playoffs. They probably pulled off the biggest upset, and they dominated a Barnwell team that, we thought was, going to match up with Oceanside in that lower state final. So it's a good opportunity for them, and it seems like it's going to be a good fit.
Yeah, big surprise there in that playoff run. John was high on Andrew Jackson all year long. I think we all knew they were good, but I don't think anybody really realized how good they were until that playoff win there. But I'm excited to see what Coach Smith can do there for the Volunteers.
Yeah, speaking of Barnwell, they're next on the list. Coach Dwayne Garrick is moving on from Barnwell, and he's going to be replaced by Brian Smith, who last year was the head coach at Ridge Spring Minetta. I tell you what, this is, as far as 2A goes, you can't get a bigger job than Barnwell. Really, really good landing spot for Brian Smith. We'll see how he does there.
Yeah, that's a huge void filling those shoes for Coach Garrick. I think we talked about it when, he's going to Aiken. His record at Barnwell was ridiculous, his winning percentage. And, they did have that upset loss with Tyler Smith and those boys in the playoffs. But this is a good team. Like, that is a really solid program. Those are the kids that grow up. They want to be a war horse, through and through. Coach Smith, we talked to him earlier in the offseason. They lose a lot of experience, but they gain a lot of experience with Coach Smith too. He's had a lot. I think Kevin's going to go through his resume, which is extremely impressive.
Yeah, he's been RSM for the past 4 years. Prior to that, head coach at Strom Thurmond, also coached at Riverside. Seneca was a head coach at Seneca for a while, head coach at North Greenville University for a while. Kind of been in a lot of places across the state, east side as well for a little bit there. Took Strom Thurmond to a state title game back, I think, in his first season there back in the 90s. Coached at Union for a bit as well. Played football at Clemson under Coach Ford there. So, a guy that's been around a lot of winning guys, a lot of winning programs, has just a wealth of knowledge there. I think he's going to do a good job there in Barnwell. He's been used to some of that small town football, obviously being at RSM, Richmond Minetta, that is, being over at Union County, some of, not the typical 4A, 5A size of schools. So I think he's going to do a good job there with Barnwell for sure.
He certainly has the experience, wide array of it too. Blacksburg will be the next school we turn to. Jet Turner, no longer the head coach there at Blacksburg. Josh Batchelor is becoming the new head coach, and he was actually the interim head coach for a time last season as well. It's a Blacksburg program, was not able to win a game last year, so sky's the limit for these boys.
Yeah, a tough one there because, Coach Turner is so well respected. Obviously had some health issues last year that kind of kept him out. In that program, I think it's a good thing to give Coach Batchelor, take that interim tag off, kind of just let the kids know that he's going to be there, let them get some stability, some consistency there. I think that's a big thing because last year, it was just kind of came out of nowhere, I think, in the summer that he wasn't going to be around, Coach Turner that was. So a lot of just kind of moving parts, a very emotional season for the guys. So interested to see what Coach Batchelor can do now that he is, the official head coach over there for Blacksburg.
Yeah, just allow him to set up his culture. That's got to be a little bit difficult. Like you said, Coach Turner has done such a good job in the stops that he's had as a head coach. You hate to see that he's exiting in that fashion, but hopefully Coach Batchelor can kind of like get them righted. Like John said, it's only up from there. They kind of struggled last year, but that's a tough gig. They play in a pretty difficult region. Those 2A, 1A schools in the upstate, you don't really have many schools to play, and so you're traveling long bus rides, and then they're in, I think that's what, Cherokee County. So yep. Everybody's wanting to go to Gaffney, I'm sure, that plays ball. So hopefully he can get it right, just get some culture there, win a few games, get in the playoffs, and taste some success.
And you see in Cherokee County where all that money goes too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
that certainly makes that job a little bit tough.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah. The new reservation is one of the premier venues in the state for sure.
Absolutely. Going down into Peach Country, you got Buford. Coach Ed Susie moves on. He takes the Battery Creek head coaching job that we talked about in the 4A, 5A preview, 3A preview show as well. He's going to be replaced by Buford assistant Joe Watson Jr. This Buford team had a lot of success last year. We're 8-2 in the regular season. It seems like the right move to stay in-house here with this promotion.
This is another one that I think was late in the cycle, kind of surprising that came open, especially with the success that they had last year. But I got to agree with you there, John. Keeping someone who, can kind of just keep that program rolling, in-house hire, knows the systems, knows the kids, makes it a little bit easier to transition for that next season and kind of keep it rolling. Was really shocked that Coach Susie left to go to Battery Creek, but hey, you never know what's going on and make those changes from time to time.
Yeah, this is to go from 2A to what's Battery Creek 4A. That's hard to turn down.
Yeah, and Coach Watson, I saw a video come out when they kind of announced him as the head coach, and the kids absolutely loved it. It was one of the things where they kind of had him out in the hallway and when they surprised everybody. So I think he's a guy that the kids really like. I don't know a ton about him. I know he's been at Buford for a long time as an assistant there, but it seems like something that the kids are going to be excited about. The community will kind of really enjoy. So wish him the best there for Buford for sure.
We've got another new charter school that's coming on the scene. Atlantic Collegiate Academy. And Kevin, I believe this one's out of Myrtle Beach, correct?
Correct.
And they will have it sounds like they're going to try to play varsity this year.
I haven't seen for sure, so I'm not 100% sure on what's going on with that.
It seems odd that they would play varsity their first year, but who knows? Could be. Anyways, they will be led by Antoine Rivens, who has been Oceanside assistant. And, hey, you start up a new program, go to one of your premier programs in your class and hire somebody from that staff, and that's just what they've done.
Yeah, he's been the OC at Oceanside for 6 years there. Also coached at Coastal Carolina, North Carolina Central, and Livingston. So he's got some collegiate experiences there as well. I saw actually reading an article about him. I think he actually lives in Horry County already. So this saves him a heck of a drive every day from going down to Charleston. It'd be a lot easier for him to do that, no doubt about it. Also spent some time at Johnson C. Smith and Loris. So been in a lot of places. Coach has got a lot of really really good experience. He's really respected around the state. I saw a lot of coaches kind of tweeting congratulations to him once he got that job. So he's a guy that is really revered around the state. So interesting to see what he can do. All these other charter schools that have popped up have done pretty well. It seems like the ones that have tried to be focused on their sports have done really well. So I'm thinking Atlantic will kind of be the same thing when it gets rolling here in a year or two.
And I think they were – I can't think of another charter school really in the Grand Strand area or at least it puts a focus on athletics.
Yeah, I think they're the first one. Obviously, a lot of the coaches there are trying to figure out what to do and how to kind of keep some of their kids from going over there. But we'll see what happens. There's a lot of talent from those guys to choose from for sure in that Horry County area.
Yeah, that's exciting for Coach Rivens to go ahead and, I just can't imagine how cool that would be to start a program. You kind of just put your stamp on it. And it's one of those situations, too, where, you can build that legacy and you could be, you don't really get those opportunities to start something. You could be there, 20, 30 years and, have your name, on the field and stuff like that. So that's a cool opportunity. Again, another 2A school in the charter, another charter school in 2A. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how this reclassification goes in 24. I'm interested to see what they do with the charters there, if they keep them there, if they start moving that stuff around. But this is going to be exciting. And like you said, in the Grand Strand, I think it's going to be pretty cool to see. And one thing that's going to be tough too, you mentioned reclassification. If it sticks kind of as is, these guys do go into 2A, that region they're going to be in is going to be a little bit of a drive. That would be the region with guys like Marion, Mullins, Kingstree, Lee Central. So not necessarily, that's an hour plus to basically every school they got to go play. It's interesting to see if something happens there to kind of help out with the regions and the scheduling and whatnot. But if that's where they get placed, Andrews is another school in there. Not going to be any close road trips there for sure.
Yeah, you look at the other regions, though. That's the best you can do, really.
Yeah. Yeah, because anything else, you're going towards Charleston, So, that's what you got to do.
Head toward the Midlands now. We talk about the Columbia Capitals. Jason Bush, no longer the head coach there at Columbia High School. He's going to be replaced by Stephen Roberson, who comes over from North Carolina. He was the head coach at Purnell Sweat. Do not know much about that school in North Carolina, but shows that Columbia has put out a wide net for their next head coach here in this hire.
Yeah, I think it's going to be recurring, these next two that we talk about, like in that Midlands area. These are just tough jobs, where they're located, being 2A schools, and just the restrictions there. But it looks like they've made a commitment, like you said, casting a wide net to try to get a talent to lure him from North Carolina to play. It also shows like the commitment of these South Carolina schools to coaching, like we're getting a lot of guys out of North Carolina, out of Georgia, out of Florida, to come coach at our schools. It just shows like the commitment of these administrations to put out the best product on the football field and shape the lives of these young men.
Yeah, Coach Roberson been at Purnell Sweat for a couple of years there. I think started in 2020, so been 3 years there. Before that, he coached at Westover and South Robeson as well. Also was the head coach at C.A. Johnson for a while back in the day also. But you mentioned that being a hard job, Jerel. Columbia, the Capitals have not had a winning season since 2011 when they went 6-5. So it's a tough road to hoe there, no doubt about it. But, I think, John, you might remember this. I think back early to mid-2000s, they had some decent teams there. I think they made a state semifinal one year there. So they've had a couple decent teams over the years. Obviously, there's some talent in the area. You just got to get them, I guess, in your school instead of some of the other ones. But it's going to be a tough job for Coach Roberson, but hopefully he does well with the Capitals.
Yeah, as Jerel saying, staying in the Midlands, a similar setup. You got Eau Claire High School. Shaq Hilton, the former coach for the Shamrocks, he's getting replaced by Great Falls head coach DeMarcus Simons. I think this is a really, really good hire for Eau Claire. Great Falls had shown some really good results the last few years under Coach Simons. But yeah, Eau Claire's a tough job. It's the home of Jermaine O'Neal. You talk about basketball, you got to talk about Eau Claire. But football, a little bit of a different story. But we'll see. See what kind of opportunity Simons can make of this and what you can do there for those guys.
Yeah, DeMarcus Simons, 12-17 in his 3 years as the head coach at Great Falls. Also spent time at Keenan, but he's a Columbia area guy. I think he went to Ridgeview, possibly. I can't remember exactly where it is, but I think he's from the Midlands area, so he kind of understands a little bit about about what it takes to win down there. So hopefully, he can get that program heading in the right direction.
Most definitely. I just echo all those sentiments. Hopefully he can get it going. It's got to, have some juice going back home, leaving Great Falls, getting them, to a decent record over the last few years, but then also making a step up, going up to 2A ball. So hopefully Coach Simons is able to get his footing and get them headed in the right direction.
Toward the Low Country, we've got Edisto High School. Preston Deaver, the former head coach at Edisto, being replaced by Marcus Livingston, who was the head coach at Estill last year. We saw the run that Estill had and Coach Livingston had with that club. That was one of the most exciting runs I think we saw the back half of last season. So certainly a good hire for Edisto, getting Livingston to come into their program.
I love this one. Like you mentioned, Estill was one of the best teams in 1A throughout the season last year. Really kind of shocked some guys. Really surprised us with some of the big wins they had. I think they beat Bamberg pretty handily. A couple other nice wins last year. It's a program that could use kind of a shot in the arm. I think Coach Livingston, obviously he didn't really have much of a choice. Had to go somewhere else with Estill closing. But I think they did a good job getting him. I think that's a good step up for him as well. If he can do something good with that Edisto program, he could be in line for a really big job here in a year or two.
Yeah, we'll talk about it right after this, but Hampton County, just happens to work that way alphabetically. But think about the decision they had to make, between these two head coaches who are doing a great job. But like you said, that's a sneaky good hire. Estill was really, really a really good football team last year. So for them to be able to pick him up, due to circumstance, really, is a great shot in the arm for that program. And he's going to be successful.
Yeah, talking about Hampton County here, next school on the script here. You know the administration for Hampton County. So for those of you that don't know, Wade Hampton High School, Estill High School, combining to create the new Hampton County High School for this coming year. Scary for the rest of 2A, those two clubs coming together. And that administration had to try to talk Livingston into having both those guys there, both those guys on staff. But, two coaches that good and having that good of results, they're both going to want a head coaching job, and they both certainly deserve it. So with that said, you've got Rob Hanna, who was the head coach at Wade Hampton, will be the head coach of the newly formed Hampton County team this year. And I think this is going to be one of the biggest, maybe the best story for 2A going into this season, especially in the Low Country, to see how those two teams mesh together this year, as talented as they are, and how good Hampton County is in year one.
Yeah, it's also cool because, you're talking about Coach Livingston going to Edisto. I mean, they play in the same region. So, they're going to have a little juice in that game when they match up. And it's going to be, for a playoff spot, so it's going to be really fun to see that, see who's the better coach from that particular area on that night. But it's going to be exciting to see Hampton County this year merging with Estill. They're going to be a great talent. And we'll see how they match up against Barnwell, too. That's going to be a really fun region to keep up with.
Absolutely. Yeah. And hey, don't forget about Woodland over there too.
Of course.
They're going to make some noise.
Yeah, Coach Hanna has been, I think, in that school district for like 17 years. He's been around for a long time, knows the kids, knows the community there. I think he's also the AD. I don't know how it will be now. I think he was coaching track and some other stuff over at Wade Hampton as well. I'm not sure if he will be now at Hampton County. That's a good hire. I mean, you really couldn't, you can't go wrong with this guy because he's done a great job the last couple of years. I mean, they've had some really good teams, some really good runs, in the region, also in the playoffs. So I think this is a great move by Hampton County. I think Coach Hanna will do a great job there. And that is a program that these 2A schools got to watch out for. I mean, all that talent coming together. I mean, even if Wade Hampton could just get 3-4 players from Estill that are good, good starters, that makes him up a whole nother level. They're probably getting more than that from Estill, really. So this is a program that I think they're the Hurricanes. Is that right? The Hampton Hurricanes is what they're going with.
Sure.
I remember them debating it, but I can't remember the actual name.
Hurricanes, Whirlwinds. It's the Hurricanes, Hampton Hurricanes. Yep.
There we go.
So that's a program you have to watch out for at the 2A level for sure.
Bouncing into the upper state here, way up in the upper state, we got Landrum, former coach Jason Farmer. He's being replaced by Brent Bridges, who was the offensive coordinator at Broome last year. So this seems like a pretty good hire for Landrum. Landrum, a team that was solid last year, won 6 games or 6-4 in the regular season. They're a team that's got promise. This is a program that can be good. I think it's a good move by Coach Bridges and really probably a good move by Landrum too.
Yeah, before being the OC for the Centurions, Bridges was a head coach at Chesney and went 40-29 over 5 seasons. So he's got some head coaching experience before. Like you mentioned, Landrum has been a pretty solid team in 2A, really, up in the upstate. They've made the playoffs year in, year out. Made some noise here and there. I think him, bring kind of maybe a new game plan, new schema there to Landrum could do some really good things there, and maybe get them up from 6 wins, maybe up to 7 or 8, and kind of make another round or two in the playoffs.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. They're kind of, Landrum, they're in that region with Abbeville, so that's kind of a bummer there. They have to play that, so they're probably going to be a 2 seed, just being honest. But that's a good hire, like you said. That's some great experience, great record as a head coach coming from Broome. Broome's a team that we're probably going to talk about a good bit this year. They got a stud running back as well. But going back to Landrum, I really like the hire. Got the foundation there. Let's see if he can, like Kevin was saying, get those extra 1 or 2 wins, get them believing, get the community behind them, and seeing if maybe they can pull off an upset against Abbeville.
And I think, too, they've got some of the nicer facilities as well in 2A from what I've heard. I've got a really nice stadium, things like that. So a lot of really good things going on over there for Coach Bridges. Yeah,
Landrum's got I've been to one Landrum game. They've got a great facility there and get good support. When I saw them play, it's probably 6-7 years or so ago, and they were pretty doggone good. And they had a pretty good support. It was a good environment. It reminded me, because they're close to Chapman. It kind of reminded me of a slightly smaller Chapman.
Okay.
Stadium's really nice, good support, good team. Going down into the PD now, we'll talk about Mullins. John Williams, the former coach with Mullins, being replaced by the Carolina Forest assistant, Mark Lowry. Big time hire here from Mullins.
Coach Lowry spent time at Carolina Forest, Conway, and Socrates. He's been around kind of that Grand Strand, Horry County area for a long time. I hope this works out because Mullins, I'm kind of from the area. I know a little bit about them. They've always got a lot of talent. They just got to get the right head man to kind of get them all on the same page. They've got if you know much about high school basketball in the state, Mullins is always one of the top programs around. And you're telling me some of those kids can't play football too? I mean, there's talent down there for the Auctioneers. Yeah. You just got to find a way to get them on the bus and get them kind of working together in football and kind of get them coached up. And I hope Coach Lowry can do that because there is some potential there. There's no reason for that program there to be as bad as they've been the last couple of years. So I'm hoping the best for Coach Lowry. I hope he can turn the Auctioneers into a solid squad down there.
I tell you, that's I think a lot of fans for the 2A Midland schools would say the same thing, Kevin. Hey, we look pretty good on the basketball court, but not everybody wants to play football. Hey, I don't blame them. You don't get hit as hard on the basketball court as you do.
And I like this hire as well. Like, that's showing commitment, pulling a guy from Carolina Forest, familiar with the area, going to Mullins. Like you said, if they can just put it together, they say football, it's Jimmy's and Joe's over X's and O's. So if you get that talent, you can corral them and actually, like you said, pulling in the right direction. This is a team that can make some moves. I mean, your biggest threat, Andrews had a good year, but your biggest threat right now is Marion. Of course, they're pretty stacked for this season. But over the, you can get into the playoffs. You can win one or two of these games and, make some noise relatively quickly if he can implement his system and, again, get his culture in place.
Going into Kershaw County, we'll talk about North Central. So Ryan McDonald was the interim coach for the Knights last year. He's going to be replaced by Dorman assistant Daniel Sisk. This is a pretty big move here for the North Central program as well. A team that did not have much success last year, only won one game. But North Central, I grew up watching North Central play a lot. they could be good. They're a similar situation, kind of like Andrew Jackson, pretty close together for Andrew Jackson as well. But, you get a couple guys that are talented, you could really put together a team there. They've got some promise. I think this is a pretty good job to have.
Yeah, I mean, you're pulling a winner though. You're pulling a coach from Dorman. He knows what it takes to get things done. Obviously, last year on the staff with Coach Curtis, probably learned from Coach Gutschall there. So hopefully he can translate some of those things. A lot of this stuff, these difficult jobs, it's like I keep saying, it's changing the culture and then just getting the kids to believe in a philosophy and just working hard at it. So hopefully he can make that change. That's what you want. You want to bring winners down, and Coach Sisk appears to be a winner, and I hope it works out for him.
Yeah, Coach Sisk was the co-OC and quarterbacks coach at Dorman. Prior to that, spent time on that Camden staff for a long time there. So he's been around the area, John. So he knows the community down there. He knows what it takes to win. He's been around winning programs with Dorman and Camden, no doubt about it. So another program that needed kind of a shot in the arm. Hopefully, Coach Sisk can kind of provide that and get them heading on the right track.
Dixie is our next school. Well, actually, we'll stop here. That actually ends the 2A portion.
One more above that. We got all 96. We got to talk about.
Okay,
96.
I did miss 96. Now we have one more. 96. Matthew Owings, the former head coach there at 96. He's going to be replaced by Matthew Bennett, who was previously the co-offensive coordinator and assistant coach at Clinton High School.
Yeah, we talked to Coach Bennett a couple weeks ago, and it was really, really good catching up with him. He is really bought into that 96 community, coming from Clinton. Did I say it right this time, guys?
Clinton, yeah, no
dropping the T. So coming from Clinton, he had a lot of experience. I think he's 35 under 35, according to the Coaches Association. Really bright guy, just really gets it. Played at Gaffney, coached at Gaffney, so just knows how to win. Like I said, really bought in and plugged in with 96. He's looking to make an impact, not just next year, but he's looking to do it 10 years and on in the future.
Yeah, he's been at Clinton as the co-OC, line coach since 2019. Also coached at Boiling Springs, Westwood, and Woodmont. And one thing, he kept talking about, Jerel, in our interview was that 96 being a football town. And that's true. He's got a lot of experience with that, being at Clinton since 2019, growing up in Gaffney. I mean, he knows what it's like to really have the community embrace football and it be, really the thing going on Friday nights in the fall. And a lot of talents there as well. He kind of went through his 5 points of what he was looking for in a head coaching job with, talent and tradition and fan support and all that type of stuff. And 96 checked all those boxes. I mean, this is a program that's kind of been, a little bit underwhelming the last few years, but they've got talent there. They can certainly make some noise in that region. No reason they couldn't be hosting a playoff game every year, I would think. So excited for Coach Bennett to get those guys rolling there. It's going to be fun to see what they do on offense. Obviously, I loved watching Clinton the last couple of years, kind of that style that they went with. Yeah. I think he said they're going to do some of that there at 96 as well. So it should be a fun program to watch and follow to see what he can kind of build there for the Wildcats next couple seasons for sure. But guys, as that's the last 2A job, let's look. What is your favorite 2A hire? What's the one that really jumps out to you? What are you guys excited about seeing here in 2A this season?
Well, I'll start off by saying this: 2A football is probably my favorite classification. No offense to anybody else. I just love because this is like the last bastion of those just football towns. I mean, there's the small, everybody shuts down and goes to the game. But there are some really, really good hires. I got to pinpoint just one. Oh man.
I got two in mind.
If I got to pinpoint one, I got to go Edisto. I'm going to go first. I think that's the one. Getting Coach Livingston from Estill, his success, you put him in an area he's already familiar with or a region he's already familiar with. I think he's really going to succeed there.
I like that. That was one of my two. So the other one that I have, and it's more so just everything, not just the coach, but Hampton County with Rob Hanna leading the program from Wade Hampton. I think just the juice that's going to be in that program in year one, knowing, and all those kids, every kid on that team knows. They know as much as we do how good they can be. They know that they're going to be pumped up. That's going to be a really, really fun group to watch this year.
Yeah, tough choice here for me. Looking at a couple different ones, I obviously like Coach Bennett at 96. We just mentioned a lot, but I'm excited to see what Coach Smith can do at Barnwell. A program that's had a lot of success the last few years. Even playing for a state title a few years back, have made really deep playoff runs. They've won 8, 9, 10 games regular season every year. And I think he'll continue that, and maybe he gives them kind of that jolt they need to kind of maybe get over that hump and get back to Columbia on a weekend of champions type deal there. But I like that Brian Smith hire, but a lot of good ones in 2A as well, guys, for sure.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
All right, we'll hop into 1A.
I'm going to say this, John, before you get going to 1A. These might go a little bit quicker. No offense to these 1A schools, but some of these guys just don't know a lot about. Really, we know a lot about the really good 1A programs because they show up each and every week. But some of these other programs, we're still learning about, but we're going to do our best. So hopefully we don't offend anybody. But let's take a shot at 1A here, guys.
As we keep going, we'll learn more and more. And viewers, tell us what we don't know.
For sure.
So leading off with Dixie, Victor Lawless was the head coach there for the Hornets, I believe. And they are getting Mark Sorrow coming over. So Mark, I understand, has been out of football for 2 years. In 2020, he was the defensive coordinator at Emerald High School, though.
Mm-hmm. This is one that happened. I think he just got hired like the 1st of June. So it's a fairly recent type deal there. Vic Lawless retired in May. So kind of a late situation there for the Hornets. But he's been in Greenwood County for a long time there. Coached at Emerald, coached basketball there, coached football there, of course. So a guy that's kind of knows this part of the area, part of the state really well. I like that hire. I think he's been a coach for 37 years, something like that. I think I read. So a guy with a lot of experience. Sure to see what he can do there for Dixie.
Yeah, I don't know much about Coach Sorrow because that's before I joined you guys in covering high school football in the state the last time that he coached. But like you said, having that wealth of experience, you think it's a situation where maybe he's just getting in there until they can identify somebody else long term. But they didn't have that bad of a season going through their record,
No.
Because they play in that behemoth of a region with all the Greenville, private schools, and all those schools were really good last year.
Yeah.
I think they only lost one other region game. So, Dixie's kind of secluded. I don't even know what county is it in Greenwood County. I don't even know what county it's technically in, but just one of those pockets of the state where you kind of gets lost. But wish them the best. And I think that they've got a solid foundation. It's just, that's a difficult region to be in.
Yep.
Yeah. And you got McCormick in there too. McCormick's no joke.
Yeah.
Going down to East Clarendon now. Scott Cook, the former coach there at East Clarendon, he's going to be replaced by Larry Cornelius, who was the head coach at Lakewood last year. This is an interesting move here, but I think a really good hire for East Clarendon to get a head coach from up a couple classifications. And Cornelius had a good team at Lakewood, a really good team at Lakewood the last few years with the Gators.
Yeah, I think he had been there for 6 seasons, went 19-38 overall, but they did make the playoffs, I think, 3 of the last 4 years. Yeah, and that's a program where when he got there, they were really down to the dumps. He did a pretty good job of kind of building them up to get them to that playoff level there. So East Clarendon program that needs some help. They've been down for a little bit. Definitely a need kind of a shot in the arm. I hope Coach Cornelius can bring that for those guys.
That's what I like to see in these situations, a program builder. He might not be there, forever because, he's tasted that 3A success. So he's probably going to, look around the corner. I hate to say it like that, East Clarendon fans, but that's just the reality of it. But you've got him now. So take advantage of it. And I think it's a situation where he can start building those blocks. If you have him there 2-3 years, it's going to be great. Get you guys in the playoffs and headed in the right direction.
Now, we talked about Great Falls a little bit previously. Coach DeMarcus Simons taking that job at Eau Claire. He's going to be replaced by an assistant within the program, Brian Kane. I think it's a good play here to keep it within the program. I know Greg Foss didn't have the season they wanted to have this past year, but I think the pieces were in place for that program to sustain some success, and hopefully they can do that with Coach Kane.
Yeah, it's like you said, John, just keeping somebody in the program, keeping familiarity there. I'm just going to be honest, it's the reality for these 1A schools. Unless you're, one of those historically good programs, it's going to be hard because of the shifting demographics of, where people wanting to live. They're wanting to live in these urban areas and things like that. So it's going to be tough to keep these jobs filled. So Coach Kane appears that he's made the commitment to stay at Great Falls, and I think that's a great opportunity for him and for the program moving forward.
Yeah, been an assistant for a while. They're also the head varsity golf coach there at Great Falls.
There we go.
Originally from New York, came down to play football at Coastal Carolina and kind of never left. So interesting story there. So he's got some big time experience. I mean, he knows what it takes to get to that next level, that collegiate level for these kids. So I think he's a good fit. He's a younger guy there. I think he's a guy that can really kind of build them up. Coach Simon's kind of had them. They had a couple good seasons, a little bit of downtime as well. But I think Coach Kane is going to help kind of push them continuously in the right direction.
And I think that's going to be a recurring thing with 1A. Like, you're going to be up and down in a lot of these places, just by sheer numbers. It just is what it is. So that's to be expected. And I think, like you said, Coach Kane being young, hopefully he can stay there for a long time.
Another program that has seen a little bit of a roller coaster the last few years of being really good and having some down years. Green Sea Floyds. Joey Price, no longer the head coach there, and he's going to be replaced by on-staff defensive coordinator, Coach Patrick Martin. I think, again, good to keep it in-house, even though they didn't have a good year last year. They got it all there. Green Sea Floyds, they know they can be good. They've been good lately. There's no reason to go crazy and they got their guy. We talked to Coach Martin. He's actually one of the first. I think he might be the first interview that we did for our off-season shows. And he is Green Sea Floyds through and through. So, I mean, he's going to be the type of coach they are going to have to throw him out. I think this is his dream job. I think he mentioned that a couple of times with us. I think this is a fantastic hire to get somebody that passionate about Green Sea, has the experience, was on a couple of those state championship staffs. Just really enjoyed talking to him because he is meant for this job. And I think he's even got family ties on the stadium, Kevin. Yeah,
I think he said you see my grandpa's name up on the press box with that. So definitely Green Sea through and through. Was a DC there for the Trojans, also coached at Georgetown and Loris. But a guy that we talked about it in the 5A, 4A, 3A show. When you hire an alum, it just means more. Like, they get the community, they care about the program. It's a different aspect too that everybody can't necessarily bring to that. I think Coach Martin can do a great job. Like you mentioned, we know the talent's there. They won back-to-back state titles, in recent memory. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago. So they've got players, there's no doubt about it. I think he's going to work on building something there, kind of getting a little more physical. I know he's big into the strength stuff as well, Jerel, with the conditioning. He played at Coastal as well, another Coastal guy. So he's been kind of at that higher level, knows what that takes to get there. But I love this hire for Green Sea Floyds. A guy who cares about the program. I think will do a great job there for the Trojans.
Now we go down the road to probably the hottest job or hottest vacancy for 1A was Hannah Pamplico. Jamie Johnson, the former head coach there for Hannah Pamplico, he's going to be replaced by, again, an in-house assistant, Coach Trey Woodbury. Again, sound like a broken record, but this is another, I think, really good hire. Hannah Pamplico had success last year. They have been pretty good. They're one of the tougher 1A programs lately, last few years. I think it's a good hire here too.
And Coach Woodbury, has been an assistant there for a while. Also the head baseball coach. So didn't have a lot of springtime practice with the guys, makes it tough there for that. But, at the lower levels, it's always tough for spring practice in general because you got guys playing so many different sports. So not a big knock there, I don't feel like. But also coached at Marlboro County, McBee. And he was a head coach at West Florence for a while. So he's got some really big-time experience there, Coach Woodbury does. This is a great hire for Hannah Pamplico. Obviously keeping the guy who's already been on staff, but a guy who's got some big experience, knows how to win football games. I think this is a home run for those guys. I think this Hannah Pamplico program is going to continue to kind of keep that upward trajectory that Coach Johnson had them on.
I gotta agree 100%. Especially, it hurts losing Coach Johnson, to Darlington, because he also served as the athletic director there. But he did some great things, not just on the football field. When he was athletic director, I know they really worked hard to upgrade their facilities, stadium improvements, and things like that. So Coach Woodbury's going to reap those benefits. Got a solid foundation, like you said, got head coaching experience at West Florence. This is a home run for Hannah Pamplico, and I think we're going to see them continue, to be a stable, good, if not great program in the future.
Now, I probably got a little bit ahead of myself here because this next job probably is the best job in a way. If we're all really being honest. And that's the Lamar job. Josh Pierce was the head coach at Lamar. He's going to be replaced by Stephen Burris, who is the offensive coordinator at Ridgeview. So it's a good get, I think, for Lamar. Again, going up to one of the big-time schools, a Ridgeview school that had a lot of offensive talent last year. So, and he's going to have a lot of talent to work with at Lamar every year as well. What do you guys think about this hire, though?
Loved it, man. You got to go pull up the tape and watch our interview with Coach Burris. Just really sharp guy from Rock Hill, so he knows ball. Coached at Ridgeview. I mean, going to Lamar, he understands the prestige with the program. He understands the community, and he understands the expectation. I mean, this is a man from, Football City, USA, so he knows what's going on there. But I just really enjoyed speaking with him, love talking ball with him. And then Lamar, man, this is turned into an opportunity. You wouldn't think that for Lamar. It's turned into a launching pad to other jobs. But Coach Burris seems really committed to this program and continuing that high level of success because he does know those expectations.
Coach Burris, the OC at Ridgeview for the past 2 seasons. Prior to that, coached at Conway, Socastee, York, and I believe was it a college in Connecticut, Jerel, Norwich Free?
I think it was maybe a prep school.
Okay. Coached there for a while too, and then obviously from Northwestern. I mean, he gets big time football. I mean, obviously that York program is always solid. Conway, a big time job there. Coached under Coach Renfro there at Socastee. So he's been around some great coaches. Played under Moose Wallace there at Northwestern. Like Jerel said, I mean, he gets it. He knows this is a big time program. Not many schools in the state have the accolades that Lamar has, especially at the 1A level as far as state titles. Even NFL guys go when you look at, the Hamlins and the Kirklands and, John Abraham and just name after name after name. They've got a lot of prestige there for the Silver Foxes, no doubt about it. Interested to see what can happen there with him because I think he talked to us, Jerel. He said that he interviewed for some other jobs, but just it wasn't the right fit. But then Lamar was the right fit, and I'm excited to see that and to kind of see what he does there. Like you mentioned, also it's been kind of a launching pad. Coach Pierce was there for a year, goes and gets the Conway head job. Before that, Coach Wilkes takes over Oceanside, another premier program in the state. So a lot of really good coaches have been through there. Interested to see what Coach Burris can do. But I think he's going to be really successful there. I'm really excited about watching the Silver Foxes this year, and some good ball teams in that area. And you talk about guys like Johnsonville who went to state last year. Should be a lot of really good football games. They've got the likes of Lakeview in their region, teams like that. So it should be some fun 1A football there, kind of in the PD Florence region for sure.
Yeah, that Lamar job's got to be nothing but fun. That's one you got to look forward to there. We move on to McBee now. John Klein, the former head coach at McBee, he's going to be replaced by Andy Karcher, who was formerly a head coach in North Carolina as well. Don't know much about Coach Karcher. What do you guys know?
That's you and me both, John. I don't know much about him either. This is another one that happened super late. Honestly, it happened, May, June? I think he was officially named AD and head coach 2 weeks ago. June 13th. So, I mean, not a whole lot to know yet about him, but a guy that's got, I think, 15 plus years of coaching experience, been E.E. Smith for a while there. So, interested to see what happens. A guy not from South Carolina, he's from Ohio. I think I read that. But, McBee, a program that's had some decent success. They've had some decent teams the last few years, but nothing really, spectacular. So, interested to see what Coach Karcher can do down here.
Yeah, I got nothing on Coach Karcher. I don't even know if this was updated the last time I looked at it with him on there. So hopefully he does well. All I can say is, just another example of South Carolina football being superior. These guys want to just come across the border, make some more money, and coach some better athletes.
Okay. Can't blame him. Can't blame him. Yeah, and Kevin, you talk about this McAfee program, a program that's, doesn't jump off the page, and it hasn't been an awesome program. But again, we talked about it in the 5-4-3A show too. This is another program. They're 2 wins away, 2-3 wins away from being a really good team. When you look at it that way, and Coach Karcher, maybe he saw that too and goes, hey, this is a team that's, I'm not doing a whole rebuild here. I can, we got something to work with. Now, here's another good program here. We go to McCormick. Paul Pratt, the former head coach at McCormick. Leroy Collier will be stepping in as the head coach now, has been previously the defensive coordinator for McCormick.
Yeah, it was the DC for the past 5 seasons. Before that, coached at Strom Thurmond for 14 years. So some really good experience there for Coach Collier. I'm excited to see what he can do there, with the Chiefs, a program that's had some really good talent. Obviously the Durants have been coming through there. I think HN graduated last year, so he will be gone. But I'm sure they'll find some more talent on there for sure for Coach Collier.
Yeah,
now,
I agree. Go ahead, John.
We've got 2 jobs left in 1A. I want to talk about Ware Shoals first. Chris Johnson, the former head coach at Ware Shoals, he's going to be replaced by an assistant on staff, Chris Dodson, a Ware Shoals team that only 2 wins last year. What do you guys see moving forward for the program for Ware Shoals here under Dodson?
Yeah, so Coach Dodson was the OL coach at Chester before this, a Gaffney High School alum, a guy that brings some, pretty good pedigree, though. Those are 2 pretty good programs there in the state. They had a little bit of trouble a few weeks back with some practice stuff, and originally were banned from the playoffs, but now that's gotten repealed. They just can't host games in the playoffs. So a little bit of a weird situation there for Coach Dodson, but excited to see him get his first head coaching gig and see what he can do with that Ware Shoals program that does have a little bit of talent as well.
Well, yeah, I love O-line coaches. They're the best. Them and strength coaches are 1A and 1B in my opinion. So, he's bringing the juice, bringing the intensity, going to want to run the football, I'm sure. Love to see that. Like you said, probably just a little over anxious as far as the spring was concerned, but good to see that they were able to get that fixed. They're probably not going to host a playoff game anyways with the region that they're in, just being honest. But great to see him get that opportunity. Got a chance there. Like you said, that top end's kind of tough with McCormick and those private schools from Greenville. But you have opportunity to make the playoffs. And once you make the playoffs, anything can happen.
Hey, I like the energy, bend the rules a little bit. Get it going as early as you can.
John Epps, spoken like a true NASCAR fan. Bend the rules. I love it.
Now, the last job we'll talk about here in 1A, Ridge Spring Minetta. We spoke about earlier, Coach Brian Smith taking that Barnwell job. Can't blame him on that one. And as far as I know, they have not made a hire yet for their head coach. So really like to push Jerel to interview for that job and get him involved in the program.
Yeah, they don't want me. I do not have the pedigree or the resume or the experience or anything involved with coaching football. So that would be a terrible hire, especially for an RSM program that's had some good success recently. So don't know what's going on there. Don't know why they can't attract somebody to take that job, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty surprising too because Coach Smith, I think, left in like April. So it's not like this is like a last minute thing. So not sure what's going on there with that program. Obviously, it'll probably be all our luck. We'll record this tonight. By the time we put it out, they'll probably hire somebody. That's just how it's going to go. So
exactly.
Yeah, they do have talent. Like you said, they went to a state title game, I think, 4 years ago, played that Green Sea Floyd's team there. So they had a lot of talent recently come through there. Some really good success with Coach Smith. So interesting to see which direction they go. Hopefully they can get that sorted out. Because I know at this point, you almost got to go with who you got on staff. Because you can't.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why don't you just announce an interim at this point? Like, what are you going to do?
Maybe they have and it hadn't been reported. Who knows? But definitely,
it's was it end of July? You got everything really cranking up. So you want to have somebody in place, and you got to think the guys that you have on staff. You got to think one of those guys will be like, hey, me, I'll do it. Let me do it.
Give me the stipend. I'll be the head coach.
Well, that's the thing. Somebody's doing it and not getting paid for it right now. So that's the issue. And I know y'all have all been in those situations before, doing a supervisor job and not getting the pay. So somebody's got to they got to give somebody that check.
You're right.
For sure.
And that's probably what it's really coming down to.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So, guys, looking back, a little bit of a smaller slate there in 1A. What was you guys' favorite home run hire from the 1A classification here this offseason?
Oh man, I got two. You're gonna make me pick, or can I just throw both out there?
I got two again too, Jerel. So you pick one of mine, and I'll pick the other one.
Okay, so Patrick Martin is obviously two guys we talked to. Patrick Martin at Green Sea, and then Stephen Burris at Lamar.
Yeah.
Coach Burris was just uber impressive. Loved his resume. Love his situation going to Lamar. Like that's one I don't care regardless of classification. That's an awesome job to get, and I think that he's the right man for that job. Knows what it takes to coach and play and win at a high level. And then Coach Martin, I just love those situations with him. I did not speak to a coach in this offseason that was more passionate about his community, his team, and his program than Coach Martin was. Like, he loves Green Sea Floyds. I think they love him, and I think that is going to be something that is going to rub off with his players and that culture. He is Green Sea, and I love that.
Yeah, I think when you get that kind of attitude, especially in a smaller program, and you've got somebody, he's going to take it very serious, and he's going to put in the work, he's going to put in the hours, and that's going to be contagious because the other guys on staff, they're going to have to put in the work. They're going to have to put in the hours too. They're going to want to match that intensity, and then you got the staff putting in that work, putting in that energy. It's going to fall down to the players too, and they're going to want to do it for those coaches and for those guys, and end result should be a good product in the end. So that's exciting for all of those guys. My pick, though, I want to go with Ware Shoals with Chris Dotson, the Chester Cyclone assistant. My dad had been at Chester High School for a long time. I kind of grew up around the program, and Chester's special. It's that staff and that team has been an exciting program last few years.
Yeah.
So I like the excitement that I think Coach Dotson can bring to that program and bring to that community. I think he can really spark something there for them.
It's all interesting for me too. We get these lower classifications. Like, what direction do you go to try to build your program? When you're at 1A, obviously you're kind of challenged on numbers. You just really are. Do you try to get somebody who has got kind of maybe that O-line, kind of physical, kind of that type of experience? You try to kind of run some kind of wing T or flex bone or whatever, and just kind of use that stuff to your advantage, or do you get somebody who really spreads it out and try to get, maybe hopefully get a one-on-one with an athlete and just kind of go that route? But I think I like that hire a lot for Ware Shoals with Dodson. I think that's going to be a good fit for those guys. But I'm going to go Stephen Burris. Lamar, it's hard not to pick Lamar just because how good they're going to be. I think he's a great fit for them. I got a younger coach who's going to, get along really well with the players. And I think the biggest thing, and we've got a clip we're going to put out. You guys may have already seen it at this point, talking about the expectations there. I think that's a big part of it. Like, Lamar, I think he said he asked the kids, how many of you guys have an uncle or a brother or a dad who's got a ring? And he said like 80% of them raise their hands. Like that's unreal to think about. But, but he grew up at Northwestern. He's like, he told us it was a bad season if we weren't playing Thanksgiving weekend. That's the truth. It's the same thing at Lamar. Like, they expect to be there every year. So I think he's a great fit for what that program is looking for. Like, he's going to do a great job there for the Silver Foxes for sure.
And to answer your question, Kev, throw it around. That's always fun. My favorite team last year in 1A was Louisville. They like to sling it, man.
Yeah,
they got those numbers on the outside. Coach Bolware slinging the ball around. It's exciting. That's why he had crazy numbers. They just ran into a buzzsaw in Christchurch.
That's you as a fan. You got to have the foundation. You got to have the offensive line, bully some people around. Hey, maybe you don't have anybody on the team that can catch, but you can run the ball.
Hey, 1A football, you're trying to increase numbers. You're going to have linemen that are 150 pounds anyways. You might as well just sling it around. Get the ball out quick, make plays.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
Well, let's take a couple SCISA hires before we get here, folks. Sean, you got that list there in front of you?
Yeah, I do. So we'll start from the top. We've got one 4A job, and we'll work our way down all the way to 8-man. We'll cover everybody. So Heathwood Hall, the first one on the list, big time job here. Danny Lewis, formerly the head coach there. He's going to be replaced by Rick Reitz, who had been the offensive coordinator, I believe, out of Georgia, Raven Gap. Nakuchi?
I think so.
This is the first time I've heard of that school. I've heard of Raven Gap, but this is the first time I've heard of that school.
Might be the first time we got to bleep this show out.
I tell you what, I love this hire. If you guys have followed Raven Gap at all, they've had a lot of talent there the last couple of years. So they've had some good success there. And then Coach Reitz has been in SCISA before. He's the head coach at Porter Gal from 09 to 19. So he's been he knows what it takes to coach and to win in SCISA and what kind of goes on in that situation there. So I love that hire there for Heathwood Hall. The Highlanders got a good one there in Coach Reitz.
Yeah, I agree with that. I love that too. And Raven Gap, you got to think, man, the talent that they've attracted, especially the last few years. He's been able to play with some big-time players. They've been taking a lot of kids from South Carolina, so it's good that Coach Reitz is back here in South Carolina because Raven Gap's kind of been, raiding the cupboard down here and getting those guys across the border and play ball. But I think it's a good hire for Heathwood.
Yeah, let's shut that down.
Cut down the pipeline.
Yeah. Now, another good job here, a good program, 3A in SCISA, First Baptist. Johnny Waters was the head coach there at First Baptist. He's going to be replaced by Jamal Birch, who has previously been the passing game coordinator for Providence Day out of North Carolina, I believe the Charlotte area, pretty big school there. Once again, taking what North Carolina's got.
Yeah, no, Coach Birch, he's the only SCISA new coach hire that we've been able to interview so far. But Coach Birch was a lot of fun to talk to. He's a young guy, but he's got a lot of experience, and he's coached with some really awesome coaches, and he's got a really cool story. So go check that one out. It's really cool to see. He's coming from Providence Day. That is a powerhouse if you guys don't know. So for First Baptist to get him to come back home to the Charleston area is a coup because they stockpile talent at that particular school. I think he's going to be very successful, very energetic. And I like to talk ball, like his offensive schemes, what he was going through, like what he wants to run, tempo stuff, like air raid stuff, man. It's going to be fun to watch First Baptist the next couple of years. Before
Providence Day was at Oceanside. So he's been under Coach Chad Greer for a while. You guys probably know that name, from was it QB1? I think the show, right? Yeah. So
Sam Hartman.
Around, yeah. His son, Will Greer, West Virginia quarterback, NFL player there. So Coach Greer knows what he's doing. And don't forget who he's been coaching with there, who's been throwing those passes at Providence Day. Jaden Davis, one of the top quarterback recruits in the nation for this year, is who Coach Birch was coaching last year. So he's been around some really big-time talent, done a great job kind of
former Catawba Ridge quarterback.
Yeah, he's done a great job there with some great talent. He grew up kind of in the Charleston area, moved to Texas for high school, played high school football in Texas, went to college and played football there as well. I think he's going to bring a lot of excitement to that Charleston area and to that First Baptist program for sure.
Moving on to John Paul. We've got Chris Myers was the head coach there at John Paul. He's being replaced by the quarterback coach from Concord High School in North Carolina, Shane Milligan, the new coach there at John Paul.
Yeah, Coach Myers, I believe, is actually going to be the OC at Hampton County next year, if I remember correctly.
Nice.
So good move there for him. But Coach Milligan, like you mentioned, the quarterback's coach at Concord for the last 5 seasons. Prior to that, coached at Porter Ridge and Avery County, North Carolina. So a guy who's got some good experience out of that NC area. I like this hire a lot for John Paul, a program that kind of needs something. I mean, they're a bigger SCISA school being in 3A. Haven't had a ton of success on the football field. So I like this hire there for them with Coach Milligan.
The other states may be taking our players, but we are taking their coaches. So hopefully Coach Milligan can get it done. And excited to see that for John Paul.
Going down to Northwood. I believe it's Northwood Academy, correct, Kevin?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Northwood Academy. Armando Allen, formerly the head coach there. they are taking First Baptist head coach Johnny Waters. I think this is a great hire for them. We saw First Baptist, a pretty good team last year, and Northwood needs it. Northwood did not win a game last year. So you like the move here with Coach Waters to try to elevate that program a little bit.
A lot of moving parts down there in Charleston SCISA football. So Coach Waters had kind of retired there at First Baptist. But then over at Northwood, the AD, Autry Denson, yes, that Autry Denson, became the running backs coach for the Arizona Cardinals, former NFL player Autry Denson, that is. So he took that job. Head coach Armando Allen got bumped up to the AD position, and then Northwood hired Johnny Waters to be their head football coach. So a lot of moving parts there down there. But like you mentioned, a team that needs something to kind of get them going. Coach Waters has had success in the SCISA ranks. So I like that hire there for Northwood for sure.
Good hire. Just bring in a winner. That's always what you want to do. Bring in somebody with some experience coaching SCISA, and then somebody that knows how to win. I think that's great for them.
Yeah, because Coach Waters had also been a Bishop England Palmetto Christian, so he kind of gets that private school feel. So yeah. I like that hire there for those guys.
Pinewood Prep. Former head coach J.W. Myers, no longer with the program. Devontae Holloman comes in to be the head coach of the program. Awesome hire here for Pinewood. I mean, we know Devontae's been involved with the South Point program. This is an awesome hire. Coach Holloman was great at South Point. Went to South Carolina with the Gamecocks for a little bit. Now he's coming back to high school football here in the SCISA realm.
Yeah, I don't know if there's much I need to say about this one. I mean, that's a grand slam home run in the same 2 grand slams in the same inning of the same game type of hire for Pinewood. Last time we saw Coach Holloman in South Carolina football, he was getting Gatorade dumped on him, in the 4A state championship game. So for him to go to SCISA and coach for Pinewood, man, that is a heck of a, job by their administration to get him to come back and coach their football team. He's going to win. He's won every place he's been. So I don't have much to say. Over to you, Kev.
I mean, it's a great hire. I mean, from Beaufort where he won to South Point where he won state in 2021 to then being, kind of an analyst there with the Gamecocks. I mean, this guy, and he grew up a winner too in South Point High School, when he was a player, won there. So he knows how to win. This is a huge hire. And I'm telling you guys, with him and Coach Birch at First Baptist and obviously Coach Wilkes at Oceanside, I think the Charleston area may be in for some moving parts in the next couple of years as far as the way that the football powerhouses go. I think these 3 schools, obviously Oceanside has some advantages over, some of these high school league schools, of course, and then Pinewood and First Baptist playing in SCISA. They've got plenty of money. They've got a nice facility down there. They may attract some kids that kind of want to maybe get out of some of those other traditional public schools.
Sure.
The Charleston scene may be switching a little bit down there as far as football goes in that landscape.
And you see some of these public schools in the Charleston area, they have typically been very good, have not been to that standard last few years, i.e. Goose Creek, Somerville. So that's you got to turn around quick before it starts to really shift, like you're saying, Kevin.
And you know what's crazy too? I mean, I think this is a job that Coach Holloman's going to be there for a while. Like, I think, maybe just on face, you're like, oh, he's go to a SCISA school, win for a year or 2, then go back to a bigger gig. I don't think so, because I think he could have got a bigger gig right now if he wanted one. I mean, the last time, like you said, Jerel, we saw him coaching high school level, he won the 4A state title. You're not telling me that if he wanted to go back to high school football, he couldn't have got a 3A, 4A, 5A coaching gig right now. So I don't think he wants to do that. I think he wants to be at Pinewood, wants to be there for a while. I think this is we can't say it enough. It's a huge hire for the Charleston area, huge hire for Pinewood Prep, huge hire for SCISA football in general, really. This is a guy I think is going to change a lot of things down there in the low country. Just massive get for the Panthers there. I think they're going to start winning a lot of football games the next couple of years.
I mean, we've talked about 5 classifications of high school league football halfway through our SCISA list here, and we're just now talking about Devontae Holloman.
Yeah.
So, you cannot tell me that he could have not gotten another job. It's just a major coup. And like I said, kudos to that administration for whatever it took to get him to go there. Maybe if it was, wooing his wife or something, I don't know what it was, but that is awesome for those kids to get that experience, to have him as his coach. And like you said, I'm not as plugged in to the SCISA circles like you are, Kevin, but like even even if you don't have them there long term, if you do have them just for a year, that's amazing.
Yeah, this is a Pinewood program too that's been successful. Like, they haven't maybe had the success in the football field they like to, but they've had really good basketball and baseball programs. So some talent there already for sure. And I think Coach Holloman's going to do a great job with them.
Yeah, I think if you insert Coach Holloman's name in any head coaching vacancy, 1A to 5A to SCISA, we'd sit here saying the same exact thing, going, "Wow, hey Dorman, great hire. Hey, Barnwell, great hire. Anybody, this home run for sure is scary for the rest of SCISA football, especially that 3A level." Going down to the 2A classification, you got Beaufort Academy. Mark Clifford, formerly the head coach there, he's going to be replaced by Nick Shuford, who was the head coach at Thomas Hayward.
This is another hire. If Devontae Holloman wasn't the biggest one in SCISA, this one probably is. This guy won 4 straight state titles at Thomas Hayward, finished runner-up last year, went 115-51 at this time there, including 56-8 since 2018. Won 7 region titles, had a ton of success there at Thomas Hayward. A Beaufort Academy team we followed last year was our SCISA game of the week for a couple of times. They had a really good program as well last year. And on top of that, his son will be going to Beaufort. Really good quarterback. He's been starting, I think, since like his 8th grade or freshman year there at Thomas Hayward. So that Beaufort Academy team is going to be one of the front runners in 2A because of that hire, not only getting Coach Shuford, but getting his son, the quarterback as well.
Yeah, not 2 grand slams, but this is close to it. I mean, that's a great hire for them to go ahead and get Coach Shuford there. Like you said, we talked about Beaufort Academy a lot last year. They were a solid football team. They were in it every single week. I think this is great for them. Great opportunity for Beaufort Academy, and then great opportunity for Coach Shuford. Excuse me.
And great get by Beaufort to go out there and go get them. Staying in 2A, we talk about Williamsburg Academy. Don Shelley, the former head man there. Tyler Boyd's going to step up. Was an assistant on the staff. Will now be the head coach for a Williamsburg team that was awesome last year.
Won the state title. So, great hire for them. Coach Boyd, this will be his first time there as the head man. But, he learned under Coach Don Shelley, one of the greatest coaches probably in SCISA history with numerous state titles there. Coach Boyd's got some state title experience. He's the baseball coach there at Williamsburg. I think he's won a state title or 2. He did lose the last state title to PD Academy in baseball. I hate to say that. Lost that in Game 3 a few weeks back. Hate to see that for the Stallions. But, coaching is in Tyler Boyd's blood. He's the son of 3-time Lamar State champ coach J.R. Boyd. So he knows what it's like to win some football games there. This is a plug-and-play deal for Williamsburg, a program that's heading the right direction. They've always got football players there. Coach Shelley had him going in a great direction. Coach Boyd's going to do the same thing. They're going to be a threat in 2A again this year, no doubt about it. He'll do a great job there for the Stallions.
Kevin just dropped the mic. John, move on to Orangeburg Prep.
Orangeburg Prep. Andy Palmer, formerly the head coach at OP, and he is going to be replaced by Don Shelley. So great job by Orangeburg Prep to go get Shelley after departing Williamsburg. Should be big things for the Orangeburg program.
Yeah, not much to say there. We just detailed this former state championship, defending state championship winning head coach going to Orangeburg Prep. This is the cool thing that I've noticed about SCISA in my short time. We really got into it last year. Being able to, flex a little muscle, open up the pocketbook and getting these massive coaching hires. This is awesome. You're in the same classification. You won the state championship. You're a legend. Come over here, fix our program. We'll treat you right. And that's cool to see.
Yeah, I think I read the story. He had no plans to go anywhere, and they kind of called him. He's like, whatever. And they gave him a pretty big offer. He's like, what? Let's go over there. So, it's guys, this is like, just listen to this resume. It's just nuts here. So, obviously, Coach Shelley won the state title last year with Williamsburg. That's 1, right? He won 6 with Orangeburg Prep in 20 years as a head coach previously. That's 7. Then he also won another 3 as the head coach at Holly Hill Academy. So that's 10 career state titles. The guy knows how to get it done at the SCISA level. Has been a legend at several SCISA programs there. And it's interesting to hire there for Orangeburg Prep because when I was growing up, they were one of the bigger SCISA schools, it felt like. And now they've kind of dropped down, lost some of their kids. They're down to 2A now. but a program that needs kind of a kick in the butt. Have had some struggles the last couple of years. Nobody better than Coach Shelley to do it. I mean, 10 state titles speaks for itself. I think he'll have them back rolling here in a year or two for sure.
Yeah, this is like on the high school level. It's like somebody calling up, a 5A school, calling up, Dutch Ford, Coach Knotts, what you doing? Why don't you come to our program? And him just leave and be like, all right, cool. I think I'll do that now.
Money
that's the type of stuff we're seeing here. That's cool.
Going down into the 1A ranks, we got Dylan Christian Wolf, the former head coach for those guys, going to be replaced by a big football name here in the state, Donnell Stanley, former Gamecock offensive lineman. Pretty cool hire here for Dylan Christian to have Stanley coming in.
Yeah, that's cool. I know Donnell went to Latta, so he's from that particular area. I think it's, if anything, it can kind of galvanize that school and you have a former Gamecock player as your coach. Not really sure. I think Kevin's probably got his resume and his experience pulled up. But like just the name recognition, just to have him come to your school, didn't really have much interest, I'm sure, going 1-8 last year. But maybe just having his name and his experience as a player attract more talent, attract more players to try out for football, and hopefully he can kind of build that program.
And a pretty young guy too.
Yeah, for sure. Coach Stanley, not a lot of experience. He spent a little bit of time at Cardinal Newman. I think when he was still in college at Carolina, that was about it. So not a lot of experience for him. But that Dylan Christian program is kind of falling on hard times. They had some really good success, I would say, late 2000s through the late 20-teens, I guess I would say, but have kind of fallen on hard times the last couple of years. So hopefully he can get them going the right direction there. Like you said, a young guy who's going to bring some energy to that program. Wish him the best there for the Warriors.
And now we got Thomas Hayward Academy comes back into the conversation. Talking about Nick Schuford going over to Beaufort. He's going to be replaced by Tony McGeary, who is a Thomas Hayward alum, but not familiar with his coaching history.
Yeah, I believe he's been coaching out in Utah, if I remember correctly. So he's got some experience there, of course. But another one of these where it's always great to get an alum to come back. But I think he may have actually graduated somewhere else after going to Thomas Hayward. I have to check on that. But a guy who obviously has been in the program, knows the program, good hire there for THA. I mean, it's tough to replace, Coach Schuford. I don't know if anybody can do that, but I think they got a good one there with Coach McGeary.
Big shoes to fill. Hopefully, Coach McGeary. I always like this. Like we've said this repeatedly at this point, but just having someone who's familiar with the program, having someone that's an alum, it's just special. It's different. You have a different connection to the program, and hopefully he's successful down there.
And now our last job we'll touch on. We talk about 8-man football here with Lawrence Academy. So Travis Plowden was the head coach for Lawrence Academy. Jolly Doolittle will step in, formerly the head coach at Greenwood Christian. A Lawrence Academy program, 4-6 last year. We'll see what Coach Doolittle can do here. Not too familiar. I tell you what, I'll be honest with you. I've never seen an 8-man football game in my life. I don't know how you translate the coaching and the scheme and the strategy from your typical 11-man down to 8-man.
I'll tell you, it's interesting. There is a lot of space out there. You don't realize how much 3 guys can do, but it's a lot of space for sure. Coach Doolittle, 27-42 in 7 seasons at Greenwood Christian. Prior to that, he's a SCISA guy through and through. Graduated from Wardlaw, coached there, Coach W.W. King, along with Greenwood Christian. So he's been around the SCISA ranks a long time. Has never coached 8-man as a head coach, only been an assistant. So definitely take some kind of some revision to his offense there, I'm sure, and defense as well. But this is an LA program, I think, that played for state 3 years ago. So they've got some success, had some recent success there. Lawrence Academy has. So hopefully get back to that. Coach Doolittle, been around the SCISA ranks, like I said. I think it's a good hire there for Lawrence Academy.
Completely out of my wheelhouse. I, too, John, have never seen 8-man football. The only thing I know about it is, the late, great Gaines Adams. He played 8-man ball back in the day. That's
Cambridge
all I know.
Academy, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, that's all I know. All I know, I will say about Coach Doolittle, that's the best name that I've seen so far on this list, and we get all the way to the end. So, Coach Doolittle, that's awesome. Wish him success, Lawrence Academy. We might have to make a trip and go watch. That's not too far away from us. We can go to Lawrence, go watch some 8-man ball.
Yeah,
there we go. We'll
sounds
set up
good.
a good
Gosh,
one for sure.
Could
Maybe
you
go over-
imagine? Could you imagine like me, 9th grade, 10th grade me going, hey man, I go to Lawrence Academy, 8-man football. I can play. This is great. And then I go up against Gaines Adams. Oh,
Catching
God.
touchdowns on Woodside, playing.
Oh
you know.
no, my knee. Oh, my knee. I'm out.
Because
Oh, man.
they'd probably have you playing on the offensive line. You know,
John's the pulling guard. John's the pulling guard.
so I mean that's probably it.
I love
You
it.
gotta block gains.
I
Good
tell
luck,
you
John.
what, guys. We've asked you for every classification. This is gonna be a tough one for me. What's your favorite SCISA hire? I mean, because SCISA, I will say, gets overlooked a lot. Across the state as far as the coverage goes. We try to do what we can, but there are some really big hires, really big names here. That got hired in the SCISA ranks this offseason.
Is there a bad one? Like
There's some
is there
good moves
one?
here. There's
Is
some
there
good
one
moves
you
here.
Is there one? I mean, the low hanging fruit obviously is Coach Holloman.
Yeah.
And I think you have to say, but my personal favorite is Orangeburg Prep, staging a complete coup and going to get the best in your class. I love that. Like, I think that's the best hire. I'm going Coach Shelley, Orangeburg Prep, final answer, $1,000.
I want to go Donnell Stanley at Dillon Christian, a young guy, a guy that's played high-level football at South Carolina. He's from the area too, a Atlanta native. I think that's good for them. I think he can inject some really good attitude and it's spice into that program. I think that's exactly the kind of energy that a private school, not just Dillon Christian, but I think a lot of private schools could use some of that energy that Donnell Stanley can definitely put in. And I'm excited about that one. I hope that one works out really, really well.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me because, I mean, both the guys you said were great picks, along with guys like Coach Birch, obviously Holloman, Coach Shuford, 5-time state title. I mean, I'm going to go, can I say just like the Charleston area? Can I take them all at one time? Yeah. All right. Let me take Coach Birch at First Baptist. Obviously, I think that's a great youthful hire. They're going to, inject some youthfulness and some new concept to that program there. And then Coach Holloman at Pinewood Prep. I mean, what can we say we didn't already say, 10 minutes ago? I mean, that's a monster hire there for the Panthers. But I think that whole Charleston area, even looking at Northwood, getting a guy like Johnny Waters, a good hire there for them as well. So that whole part of the state, I think, did really well in the SCISA ranks. But like you guys mentioned, I mean, all of them were good. Coach Reitz there at Heathwood, Coach Shuford at Buford Academy. I mean, there was a lot of home runs, I think, in the SCISA ranks this offseason. So I'm glad we definitely touched on those as well in this show. But, guys, anything else y'all want to touch on? I know we've been at it for a while here in the SCISA 1A and 2A ranks in high school league as well. So anything else y'all want to say before we kind of get out of here tonight with our Coaching Carousel show?
I think one thing that we saw in that 5-4 and 3A show that we touched on a lot was, wow, it's awesome to see the commitment in these schools programs to go out and, get not either get the best coach, but get a great coach that is in your program or, in the state. But hey, we'll go outside the state and go get a great hire. And going through 2A-1A, and especially with SCISA, that was apparent, maybe even more apparent tonight with those programs too. So even from top to bottom, I mean, you go from 1A SCISA football all the way to 5A public school, and great hires all around.
I got to piggyback off that, John. I think that's awesome. And I think the coolest thing too is, like you're saying, we're seeing the departures, these former head coaches. We're not seeing guys leaving to go across the border to coach at different states. We're seeing the guys come here to coach, our talent to go to our schools, from other states. And I think that's the coolest thing. And I think that's a testament to how invested these communities are, these administrations are, the fans are to high school football in the state of South Carolina. And that's why we love, doing this. That's why we love traveling around all these venues, because it's passionate and it's damn good football. It's some of the best that you can watch in the country. So it's really exciting to see, the influx of new coaches, guys, older guys getting opportunities, younger guys getting opportunities, people getting promoted from within, waiting their chance, making big splashes. It's been a lot of fun to see these moves, and I'll tell you what, guys, I'm really excited about the season right now. I know it's a few weeks away, but I'm pretty pumped up.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, there were so many good hires. I mean, it was hard to pick one like of each of the favorite each classification. I was like, man, I could have picked 3 or 4 or 5 of these guys every time because everybody did a really good job. It felt like I want to piggyback off what you said there, Jerel, about all the great football that we have kind of across the state. I mean, it's not only the players, it's the towns, it's the fans, it's the support. If you guys watch our all-season episodes with the coaches at all, the coach interviews, a lot of times we'll ask them, what's maybe the coolest atmosphere you've coached in or played in or whatever. And I feel like we probably had almost every dang school listed at some point. Everybody's like, these 4 were great because, a different 4 were great. So it's just really cool to see that there are great football, great atmosphere, great towns all across South Carolina that you can watch football in for sure. But if you guys have not seen those, check them out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains. MovinChains.com is our website. You can follow all of our socials on those pages there. Get ready for our preview shows, our recap shows this season coming up, our weekly pick'em stuff, our Friday Night Spaces on Twitter. A lot of great stuff coming for you guys. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google as well. Moving the Change brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Guys, so I guess this is probably the last time we'll all 3 be together until we start getting some previews going here for the season. But, hopefully we have some more. We may have something new pop up for them. We'll see. But appreciate you guys tuning in. Super excited to get the season rolling here shortly. But for John Epps, Jerel Hendricks, I'm Kevin Thomas. This has been our Moving the Chains 1A and 2A High School League and SCISA coaching Carousel show, and we'll catch you guys soon.